dad owned this place. I don't have any memories with him. This is all I have right now.
If you're watching this, then I'm already dead. This property comes with a special tenant. You're the one thing that stands between her and the outside world.
You're joking.
Good to speak to you. ¿Cómo estamos?
Hi, ¿qué tal? Ya sé que hablas español, te he visto, así que ¿qué lo hacemos, en español o en inglés? No, I'm joking.
No, in English for the screen
But
readers.
it's very interesting to see that you specialize in Spanish-speaking horror. What?
No, not really. No, I moved over to Bilbao. I moved over to Bilbao just after my degree. So I came over here about 25 years ago. And
You're in Bilbao now?
In Bilbao, yeah. I've been over here for the last 25 years, yeah.
Wow, nice. Good food, really good food over there.
Good food, and there's a great horror festival over here as well. I don't know if you've been to the Fant festival over here in Bilbao.
No, I've been to the one in San Sebastian, who was amazing.
Right. No,
the pinchos were great. So,
so amazing! Congratulations on the movie as well. It's fantastic. I loved it. I was watching it yesterday. It's a great movie.
Thank you.
What I particularly enjoyed about the film is the actual premise, because you can really take this premise. The world is your oyster, because you could do so many things with it, because you could have what we've got in this film, but you could take it on so many different places, which I want to talk about a little bit later on. But first of all, I want to ask you why you specifically chose these characters to enter the world of Baghead for this feature film.
It was kind of a process. It was kind of a process for me, coming from the short film. I wanted to take the character from the short film, apart from the witch. I wanted to take Neil, what is Neil in the future, because I thought it's a character that can show this interpretation of grief that is completely convoluted. Even if it's always a personal thing, how people grieve, in his way, he's taking it to extremes. And then having Iris as the protagonist, a young person a young woman who didn't really have luck in life, didn't really know her dad, and her mom passed away. For me, it was interesting because I always wanted to make it about family. Right. I thought the story of Baghead, it has to be anchored in grief, because that's what she represents. That's where she fits in. When people can grieve, they come to talk to dead people who didn't have the time to finish off things, to finish off their business. So having someone that is carrying on that into the story, I think it made absolute sense. And to make her the last of these guardians of this witch made it even more interesting. So that's how we came to the story, to the characters that populate this story, because as you say, it could have gone anywhere. And to be honest, at the beginning it did, until we found really what we wanted to say.
No, but what I loved about it, especially about the horror element, is the fact that, because I don't want to give too much away, but because Baghead can transform into people that have died, that kind of gives you leeway to kind of have these 2 minutes of really intimate, very sentimental scenes, between the two characters, but then really kind of turn it on its head with the terror. Was it difficult to find that balance, especially with just like these 2 minutes of being able for them to share so much, and then to invert it? Sorry.
Yes, I think that was the main rule, and it's a rule when we were pitching it to make it into a feature. I thought that I was going to find a lot of resistance from producers, studios, and so on, like, why 2 minutes? But they all went for it, because they all love to have these rules, these constraints that make the story to turn into a different thing after the 2 minutes. So for me, it was always first to have 2 minutes makes it more like an addiction, because if you want to talk to someone who has passed away and they give you 2 minutes, it's like you don't have enough time, so you need to come back, and you need to come back, and you need to come back. So it becomes this thing that you cannot really let go. Instead of closing this wound to be closure in what you are grieving, it makes it even worse. So that was one of the things. And it also, after these 2 minutes, is when this witch starts playing games with you, because she can do whatever she wants after these 2 minutes, apart from harming the guardian, in this case Iris, but she will mess up with everyone, sometimes just to even go deeper in that wound and just have fun of it. or just because she's planning something, like we will see later in the movie. But I think the combination of those elements was really interesting for the feature. What really makes the story interesting.
Something else, I mean, maybe it was just something that I picked up on, but maybe I'm reading between the lines, but I also felt that you were kind of channeling what certain psychics maybe try and do to their victims, if you will, when they cold read them. I don't know if you believe in those kind of things, but was there something there that you wanted to kind of bring into the fold to kind of say something a little bit about how psychics work and how they try and feed off the people that go and see them?
It's interesting because when I spoke to Lorcan, the writer of the short, the original story in which the feature was based in, his idea was to make it about a medium at the beginning.
Right.
He was telling me his process, and it's a medium and so on. But then he came to this point where he thought, first it's not that interesting, and then you are never sure, of what's going on. So making into someone who's shape-shifting, it gives that this touch like, okay, this is real. This is happening. This is something that is, is going to a different level that you have with a medium. Did I want to infuse something in there pointing at that? Well, listen, I could put medals on myself and say, yeah, it was all thought through, but it wasn't. It's something, sometimes you look at what you're doing and say, oh, that makes sense. And yeah, I think is the beauty of not even writing, but making movies, is that everyone has a different takeaway. People go watch the same movie and they just have those things that they are focused on, and other people are like, that wasn't interesting to me at all. So that is the beauty of it. Everyone can have their own interpretation, and every interpretation is right.
But I mean, talking of mediums, did you actually study or research mediums, or people that have been to see mediums to kind of maybe kind of fine tune this a little bit to get it kind of almost that kind of sensation, that experience?
I was always
talking to Baghead
in this and seance and so on. And funnily enough, through a different project that it didn't come to be, I read a couple of books about Helly Snell, which was one of the biggest mediums in during the Victorian times, and it was very illustrating how they did this kind of stuff. So yes, there are some elements from this kind of approach that we're taking into Baghead, but I think we needed such a clean mythology about it, like the egg timer, like the 2 minutes, the hole in the wall, the chair, the restraints, the 2 minutes, that we didn't really need to do a lot about it because it was so visual. It's something that you're not expecting the first time when it happens, when these transformations happen. And in the next sessions that you have, it's not about trying to reinvent the wheel because the audience already knows what is going to happen. So you just have to stick with the characters and what they are taking away from all this relationship with the witch.
I mean, you mentioned the rules. It must have been really fun to kind of create these rules for how something works now, almost like a game. I mean, I remember when Gremlins first came out, everyone was like, there's these rules, but when is actually after midnight? Because it's after midnight could be the day you're talking about tomorrow or the day after. So was it very difficult to kind of to get the instructions, the rules just right?
Yeah, well, this so-called mythology is a big thing, and I didn't know in these Hollywood circles when you are doing horror for all that the mythology has to be right. The rules of every story, and there are long discussions involving a lot of people trying to make those rules clear and making kind of focus on the story. So yeah, it was fun. It was fun to come up with things like we decided after 2 minutes, something very visual to do is that the person who has been brought back start reliving the way they died. For example, or when start bursting in flames. I don't want to give too much away, but those are the kind of things that you work on, and then when you see them, it's like, yeah, it's a good payoff. It's something that you were going for. But the process of creating rules which satisfy everyone involved in the process, okay, that was a bit trickier.
Yeah. And something else, I mean, I'm sure it's just by coincidence because the short film was a long way back, but I imagine people have commented to you about Talk to Me, another film. It's kind of similar themes. Yeah. That's completely by coincidence, right? But I must also be a bit in your favor because that's something that really went down really well last year. So I imagine this film is going to go down just as well this year.
I don't know. People ask me this
Fingers
question.
crossed. Yeah.
It was, yeah, when it came out, people were telling me, holy shit, Alberto, have you watched this movie? And I was like, no. It's like your premise for Baghead. And it's what? And I read the synopsis and so on. I say, I'm not watching the movie until Baghead is out and all the dust settles, because otherwise I'm just going to be like, why?
Yeah.
Why in this movie? I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing that is similar. I mean, we did the short like over 6 years ago. And we know that sometimes people come across the same ideas and it's just, they come out at the same time and it's like, why this is happening? I don't know. Maybe it's the zeitgeist. I don't know if it's something in the air that makes people have this kind of willingness to talk to the dead. If it's going to be good for Baghead, I don't know. I think, as I say, I haven't watched the movie because, and I really want to watch it, but I didn't want to have something to compare, because that you feel so exposed sometimes as a director when you bring your stuff out. But yeah, let's see. I just can't say. I think the story is different.
No, it's different. Yeah, it's different. Yeah.
In terms of many things that you can watch. It's not the classic horror movie that you would watch, and that it has its own personality. So people just have to watch it and make their minds up.
And obviously, something that we can't not talk about are the actors that you got involved. I mean, I don't think you could have even dreamed that you were going to pull it off now with these fantastic actors that you got on board. Were they your first choices, or was it a little bit later on that you managed to get them?
That is always a funny question, because there are no first choices. I mean, yes, you have in your head, oh, I would like Brad Pitt for this role. I would like Jen Hackman or whoever, But then you go to the reality of who is available and who is willing to do it. And when we were doing the casting, we went through different phases. But at some point, when the studio came and said, Freya Allen is available and willing to do this, the story was a bit different. It was for someone who was older.
She was a bit older, no? Yeah.
Yeah, but obviously everyone went like, oh yeah, and I have following The Witcher. It was like, oh yeah, I really like her. She's a huge talent. So then is when you start really doing your casting. You first have to have your protagonist, and then everything around starts coming into place. We got Freya, then Ruby. Obviously, we were looking for someone of the similar age and young with energy. And Ruby Barker was also available from Bridgerton. So that was the second one that we got. And everyone asked, how did you get Peter Mulan? And it's like, you don't get Peter Mulan.
Yeah, he gets you. He's like Chuck Norris.
Exactly. One day, they told me, oh, it seems like Peter Mulan is available and willing. And it was like, Peter Mulan, you said. Okay, I mean, where do I have to sign? With my blood? Yeah, here. It doesn't matter.
No, it's funny because I heard that he said that he was interested in doing a horror movie because he hadn't done one since Session 9, which is one of my favorite all-time horror movies.
Exactly. That was my pitch to him. He came on, I went straight away to talk to him on Zoom. And the first question was like, Peter Mulan, give me 5 seconds just to recover from the shock. I'm talking to freaking Peter Mulan. And then he's like, why? Why do you want to make this movie, man? I mean, you can choose whatever you want. And he said, yeah, I did this horror movie Session 9. This I probably don't know. And I said, I don't know. Everyone knows who knows his horror knows Session 9, man. It's a cult movie. And it's like, yeah, but my kids were telling me, why don't you want to do another horror movie? And then I came across the short and the story. I said, I like this. So here I am. And I say, yeah, okay, you're in. I mean, there sometimes is just being at the right time in the right place. And that was one of those. We had loads of other issues with casting and getting crew because it was right during the COVID mayhem. So everyone, when COVID restrictions were lifted, everyone wanted to shoot. So it was like you couldn't find anyone. For all crew was a nightmare to find. We were lucky that's why one of the reasons we went to Berlin, because the producers and the studio had already 2 movies in production there. So we could kind of cannibalize the crew from those projects as they were getting free. So yeah, but that's how you do. It's more. It's not like you say, I want these actors, and then you start going and no. It's a bit more organic the way it happened in casting.
Well, listen, they're giving me the wrap. So again, thank you for your time. Congratulations on the movie, and I hope it goes down really, really well. And I hope to speak to you again sometime soon about another project.
Thank you very much, and I hope to see you in Bilbao at some
Yeah, I
point.
hope so.
And pinchos and watch some movies.
Yeah, mucha suerte. Okay, nice to meet you.
Gracias.
Take care. Bye now.
Thank you, Howard.
I'm going to kill you.
You can't kill her. You cannot let her out of the basement.